Back to this top story now as Ukraine's president announces a deal to end his country's violent political crisis. But we have heard these promises of truces before and seen them fall apart. We are already hearing new reports of gunfire in the heart of Ukraine's capital this morning. This as President Obama is coming under fire from critics for his response to the bloodshed over there. Bill O'Reilly saying that the president's handling of this situation, he believes, fits a pattern for this president of looking too small on the world stage.
The president has not acted as a dominant world leader. He has not taken on the authority that, say, Ronald Reagan did. The sad truth is Vladimir Putin, considered by many to be a stronger leader than Barack Obama. And that has led to all kinds of problems. That idiot Karzai in Afghanistan now insulting America in outrageous ways. Iran jacking us around. Assad in Syria continues to kill civilians and pretty much does what he wants. And now in Ukraine, there's a civil war brewing. The president says there'll be consequences for oppressive actions in Ukraine. But does anybody take that threat seriously? Talking Points doesn't think so.
Strong assessment there from Bill O'Reilly last night. Juan Williams joins me now, Fox News political analyst, and Mary Catherine Ham, editor-at-large for HotAir.com and a Fox News contributor. And just to tell everybody at home, the latest is that a deal has been signed by President Yanukovych. He has conceded to early elections and also to some role in the government for representatives of these protesters. But as we say, Juan, we watched the truce the other night fall apart, and we're hearing that there's more violence in the streets this morning. So the jury is still very much out on this. What do you think about the assessment of Bill O'Reilly of the president's leadership?
Well, I think that what we are in is a period where the United States is pulling out of two major wars. I think the country, the American people, are war-weary, Martha. And so when you talk about the president making it all about him, I think that you're ignoring the larger sense that the American people are not anxious to, become militarily involved in the Ukraine. I mean, it's just a fact. Even when it was a matter of firing missiles at Syria, you couldn't get the U.S. Congress to agree that it was time to act.
I think one of the issues that some of these critics have is the lack of being a voice for the democratic forces on the ground. We saw the same thing in Iran. We saw the same thing in Syria. I mean, there's nothing wrong and there's no military commitment in standing up and saying, look, this is what the United States stands for. We are a beacon in the world for democracy. We stand up for people who are rebelling against tyrannical leadership in their countries,
That's
Juan.
True. Well, I think we do. I think that it's been very clear. I think Secretary Kerry has said this. I think President Obama has said we stand with the Ukrainian protesters. I think it's been an effort, even the Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel, who has tried to reach the military to say, do not
they haven't
take
answered his
unnecessary
call.
action. Correct. So I was just about to say that to you, Martha. So what we see, it's not a matter of the United States not standing with the protest and clearly standing with people who say they want to be part of the European Union, want to get involved with the West, as opposed to be remaining in Putin's orbit. I don't think there's any question about that.
Mary Catherine, what do you think?
I think when it comes to the U.S. foreign policy right now, the Obama administration is not clear about anything. I'm going to quote Ben White of Politico because he put my thoughts into words so clearly when he said, I would say something critical about American foreign policy, but I'm not sure what it is or if there is one. And so I think that's the problem. Even if I disagreed with it, some consistency I think is helpful for the world stage for people to know where you're coming from. And we have none of that. And I think Juan's right that to some extent the president is rescued by the fact that Americans do not want to be on the ground or militarily involved in various countries who are having these dust-ups, although in Libya that didn't stop him. But so he's saved by that to some extent. But you're right that there are more signals that you can give and more work you can do to send the signal that we are behind you, people who are working, especially against Putin, who, by the way, works us over at every turn, especially on Syria.
I mean, the comment about this not being, Cold War chess pieces, there are a lot of people, Juan, who believe that Vladimir Putin believes it is exactly that, and that he would like to put those pieces very much back together under the arms of Mother Russia, and that is part of what his agenda is here. Are we being naive in not recognizing that?
I think everybody recognizes that, Martha. I think that everybody understands these Olympics that are taking place and the excessive money spent is an effort by Putin to try to resurrect, the Soviet Union and the image of Soviet power. And if you look at him sticking his finger in the world's eye, not just our eye, in Syria, in the terms of the dealings with Iran, he sees what's taking place in the Ukraine as part of that larger geopolitical picture where he consolidates his power, he keeps things under his control, and uses them as leverage in the larger theater. That's what's going on here.
Yeah, he seems to be succeeding in some ways in Syria, and perhaps he may in Ukraine as well. We will see. Juan and Mary Catherine, great to talk to you both. Thanks very much.
Good morning.